Welcome back, everybody. Sarcasm Speaks, Jared and Bob here. And as we said in the last episode about missing a bunch of death pool people, there's another one in between Sunday and today, which is Tuesday for us in real time. Um, Louis Tiant died, I think, yesterday, either yesterday or today. Oh, hey, that's a good one. Yeah, because we recorded on Sunday. Oh, it's either yesterday or today. Yeah.
He might have died on the day he died, though.
Yeah. I think it was. He probably died the day he died, whatever day that was, the day the music died. But yeah, Louis Tiant was pitcher for the Red Sox. Did he play did he also play for the Pirates?
Couldn't tell you, dude.
Something
I do
like that.
not know enough about fucking Louis Tiant. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Sometimes I mix him up with Oil Can Boyd. You remember that guy?
Yeah, I mean, again, not a lot. I don't know a lot about that guy either.
Because I think Oil Can Boyd played for the Brockton Rocks at one
They
point.
were around back then.
No, I think he was like 50 when he was
Oh,
playing for them. Um, Let me see. Oil Can Boyd, Wikipedia. Dennis Ray Oil Can Boyd. Played Major League Baseball for the Red Sox from 82 to 89, the Expos from 90 to 91, and then the Rangers in 91. Um, 10 seasons, he was 78 and 77 with 799 strikeouts and a 4.04 ERA. I feel like I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure that out, but um oh hey, he's related to your guy. He's cousins with Barry Larkin.
great.
That Barry's cousin Oil Can. Yeah. So Barry Larkin and Oil Can Boyd are cousins. Who knew? But yeah, Louis Tiant died though. Not Yeah, in 2005 I found it. Oil Can Boyd came out of retirement at 45 years old to pitch for the Brockton Rocks. Pitched in 17 games, going 4 wins, 5 losses, a 3.83 ERA, 110 innings. Pretty good at 45 years old.
I mean, I guess. Didn't Clemens pitch until he was fucking 40?
Um, yeah, something like that. But he only played like half seasons.
True.
Um, yeah, so I've got something here that I think is very interesting. It's very topical, if you will. Um, so the southeastern United States is getting pummeled by hurricanes right now, and I think it was Helene. Helene just crushed North Carolina. Um, Asheville is basically just gone, but now Florida is going to get hit by I think it's Milton, Hurricane Milton.
Well, Tampa got drilled in the last one, too.
Yeah,
Not with like, at least with water. They got fucking labeled.
right, right. Yeah, North Carolina got just demolished. Um, I think Florida's a little bit more well equipped to handle hurricanes at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say I don't think Tampa gets it. Usually, I don't think Tampa gets it like that, but
right.
statewide, yes.
Yeah. Um, so obviously all kinds of issues there with Helene and the response and everything. And then Milton is coming in, I think will probably be today when this comes out. I think it's supposed to come on Thursday, make land for either Thursday or Friday. Um, Funny story, but it's not funny. FEMA, right? The Federal Emergency Management Association. Is that what that stands for?
I don't actually know what it stands
Does
for.
FEMA stand for? Federal Emergency Management Agency. All right, I was close. Um, they have run out of money. They don't have any money left to help the people in North Carolina. And now Florida is about to get hit this week. And I saw something today that said Milton is a category 5, and it's the fourth most powerful hurricane ever recorded. So as it stands right now, it is number 4 on the all-time list. Um, and FEMA has no money. So that's pretty fucking awesome. Um, anyone out there, the logical question might be, how'd they run out of money? Well, apparently, they have been spending money on what's called the SSP program, which is the Shelter and Services Program. Uh, and what that does is that provides money to, they call them migrants, formerly known as illegal immigrants, into the country. And they're spending money on just providing services, housing, food, water for illegal immigrants. So FEMA has no money to help actual people, citizens of the country, because they've spent all of their budget on helping illegal immigrants. So that's
I
pretty fucking
would
sick.
I would abolish FEMA if it was up to me. Like
Yeah.
clearly you guys can't handle yourselves. So
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out to Nancy Mace, who is a representative from the state of South Carolina, who introduced a bill to terminate FEMA's SSP program this week and immediately redirect all unspent money towards disaster relief efforts.
that's a novel concept.
Yeah.
Why would
Yeah.
FEMA use their money for disaster relief though? I'm a little confused on that one.
You mean the Federal Emergency Management Agency? Yeah, why would they
Yeah,
spend their money to manage emergencies?
emergencies. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. They should spend their money on illegal immigrants.
You know what they should really do is they should send their money overseas.
Well, FEMA doesn't have to do that because the rest of the federal government's doing that.
Yeah, but imagine if FEMA did it too.
Oh
Imagine how
yeah.
much imagine how much overseas would be like fixed
Imagine
and
how
better.
much good that would come. You know, we would,
Yeah,
I mean, Ukraine would probably win. They would win the war because Ukraine equals good. And
right. Ukraine good.
If FEMA just redirected their money on top of the other money that's going over there, that would probably
Yeah,
be enough.
that would be good.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast today and they played a clip. It was the Drinking Bros podcast, and they played a clip of a guy, I think it was Lindsey Graham, who's a senator from South Carolina. Real shitbag, like piece of shit, like old school, like slime ball politician type. Um,
Those days were nice though.
yeah,
We
I
didn't know
know.
it at the time, but those days were
We,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Because whatever
um,
these politicians are these days is just fucking terrible.
It's awful. Well, he's one of them, so he sucks. But he was given an interview talking about the hurricane disaster relief, whatever. He was like, "Yeah, it's terrible. You know, our neighbors in North Carolina, they're having a really hard time. We're struggling as a state here in South Carolina, and we're bracing for the next Milton. But what we really need to do is just imagine all of the people that are what they're going through in Israel right now. And we should really kind of be focused a little bit on them too." And I was like, "What?" And they were just shredding him. So Ross and Dan on the Drinking Bros podcast were just shredding this fucking guy, being like, "Are you shitting me? You're plugging for more money to Israel on a an interview about your state that you represent getting crushed by a hurricane." So they were working under the assumption that I think this is interesting that he's compromised, that he was one of the people that was compromised somehow in the Jeffrey Epstein thing. And that, if Epstein was actually Mossad, then Israel has dirt on Lindsey Graham. So they basically are pulling the puppet strings on him. And so any chance he gets to be in front of a TV camera, he's going to plug supporting Israel because he has to. Um, it's just a fun, interesting conspiracy,
It
right?
seems
But
like a leap, but
yeah,
it would be using too much logic.
yeah,
Because I
yeah.
just think the guy sounds like a cunt.
Oh, for sure. Just in general, just a huge piece of shit. Like, who does that? Like, again, you are a
Dude, they all
United
do it.
States
They all do
senator.
it. No one gives a fuck about what's happening in North Carolina right now.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And even like you said it earlier, it's like, oh, Florida's equipped to handle hurricanes. That's what people are going to say.
Yeah. I said
Florida doesn't.
they're more equipped than North Carolina.
Florida doesn't need federal funds. They know how to handle hurricanes.
When you have the fourth biggest hurricane ever on record, like you're going to need some support. It doesn't matter how equipped you are to
Well,
handle.
you're not going to get any because there's no money.
Well, yeah. Well, not if Lindsay Mace has anything to do with it. Or no, Nancy Mace. I used to work with a girl named Lindsay Mace. That's funny at Milton Academy. Nancy Mace from South Carolina. If she has anything to say about it,
Yeah, and what do you think the rest of those dumbasses are going to say?
oh, they're not going to pass it.
No, no way.
No. So, um, so we have this is from like a little AI thing. They spit out a couple bullet points here. Representative Nancy Mace's bill aims to reallocate funds from the SSP to the Disaster Relief Fund, supporting emergency response and recovery efforts. Critics argue that the election year political posturing is overriding common sense, as the funding of other FEMA programs should not impact disaster relief efforts. The proposal has garnered support from some experts who see it as a helpful step in addressing the funding crisis and prioritizing disaster relief.
This is retarded, dude.
Yeah,
This is really fucking stupid. FEMA's out of money. Fire everybody.
yeah.
But they won't. And they'll continue to do what they do. And they'll continue to do it this way because that's what fucking people want. And I don't fucking get it.
Yeah.
I just don't fucking get it. And I
And
never
then
will.
there is a note here that I think this part is interesting. And this just goes to show, like you said, how little fucks they give about actual people. So the note on the bottom, again, from the AI synopsis of what's going on. um, these search results do not indicate that FEMA has actually, quote, run out of money, end quote, in a classical sense. Instead, Representative Mace's bill seeks to redirect funds from the SSP disaster relief efforts, highlighting concerns about the current allocation of resources for future issues. So, this, again, to going back to your point, technically FEMA hasn't run out of money, right? Because on the flip side of that, if they did, what does that mean? Their employees aren't going to get paid. Obviously, all their employees are still going to get paid. You know that. You know the people that work for the government aren't going to not get paid. They're going to keep collecting their
Public
checks.
servants, dude.
Yeah, they're going to keep collecting their checks. They're going to not do their job by going to North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, whatever that whole area. They're not going to go there. They're going to keep collecting their checks and they're going to be like, yeah, we just don't have enough in the budget to help with this hurricane stuff. Cause
Oh, but next year, if you give us a bigger budget,
yeah, next yeah, if only we had a bigger budget, maybe next year we'd be able to help out more. Yeah,
did they like
that's how it's
promote the
going.
mayor of New Orleans to like head of FEMA? Guy that embezzled all that money
Oh, Jesus.
after Katrina, didn't he embezzle like over $1 million or $5 million or something?
Yeah, something like that. I think I do remember
Pretty
that.
good. Pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So I think that's a little bit more, I think that's worse. I think that's more damning for FEMA to like not literally be out of money, right? They're not actually out of money. They're just like, yeah, we just don't want to give any more money. That because that's effectively what they're doing. They're like, oh yeah, the budget for that stuff, yeah, that's gone. Well, but you have more money. Well, yeah, but we have to use it for this other stuff. Yeah, but these people, like their houses are destroyed, like there's dead bodies floating down the street because the streets are now rivers. Like it's a fucking disaster area. Like I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures and videos from Asheville, but like I think there's a place also called Castle Rock. But like all these things, someone flew a drone over Castle Rock in North Carolina. It looks like Fallujah, like circa 2006. Like it's just it's awful.
Bombed
Um
out and depleted.
yeah. um but so that's what I mean. That's worse, right? That you're gonna sit there and be like, yeah, we don't have any money to help those people. We have to keep our money to help the illegal immigrants. And now this Nancy Mace is like, no, fuck that. Take all that money, close that program, and give all of that money to the US citizens that just had their lives fucking destroyed.
And this is like the thing that, you know, people want people want the government to solve all your problems. And now there are Americans with problems and the government's not doing it. Why would you want to rely on this entity to do anything
Yeah,
for you?
I think that's a great point. I think if I could clip that, if only I had the technology, right? To clip what you just said and post it so everyone would be able to see that. I mean, you're not going to change people's minds in today's world because their
No.
minds are already made up. But that's a fantastic point, right? To show anyone who's like a, you know, a classic Democrat, lefty, liberal, you want to rely so much on the government for everything. You think the government is going to provide for all of this. Well, now we have a real life scenario where these people need the government to support them and they're not getting the support. So do you
And
still want to make like have everything rely on the government?
and the best part is the next storm hasn't even hit yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And unlike, oh well, when Kim Jong Un dies, like his sister, that's the bad
Yeah.
one. It's like, no, dude, this thing's a fucking category 5. Like
Yeah.
the winds offshore have hit like 175 miles an hour.
There's gusts up to 200.
I'm no hurricaneologist, but that's fucking a lot of wind. Like
Yeah. Yeah. That's big wind.
that's a lot of wind.
Yeah, 200-mile-an-hour winds is no joke.
Dude, 40-mile-an-hour winds are no joke.
Yeah.
This is at least 3 times bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. But yeah, no. We need the government to do more for us. Get more involved in our lives.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
That's just like
Like
imagine sitting there being like, "Ah, you know what would solve this problem that I have right now? If the federal government
more government
just
involvement.
got more involved in my life. I would really like the federal government to be more involved in my life.
They're involved enough. And I know they ain't helping me. That's for fucking damn
No,
sure.
no, they for sure are not helping me. So yeah, that's fun. Fun times. Um, Let me see if I can pull this other thing up because there's also some other fun times here.
Oh, good.
Um,
Fun times at Ridgemont High.
yeah. So I
That's a
saw
legitimate movie.
um so one of my buddies posted this um on Instagram the other day. So I screenshotted it, but it's a tweet. It's actually pretty funny. The person's name is Amazon Piss Jugs. So, I mean, that's just funny. Um, but it's a screenshot of a headline. So that I'll read the headline first and then I'll read the tweet. So the headline is from Forbes in the personal finance section, and it says huge changes for student loan repayment begin in 5 days for 30 million borrowers. This article was published on September 26th, so this is older. Um, but so that's the headline from Forbes, the Forbes article. Amazon Piss Jugs put this screenshot on Twitter and goes, "This is enraging, y'all. Biden restarts late fees, negative credit reporting, and defaults collections all on loans. Now the feds can garnish your wages, take your social security and tax returns without even a court order." So some people are going to say, like, okay, yeah, whatever, like you got to pay your loans back. Yes, true. However, the reason why this is a problem and why people are flipping out is because for the last 4 years, Biden has been talking about getting rid of late fees, stopping negative credit reporting. So that was the whole thing on, I think it's the SAVE program, was for the first year that you're enrolled in the program, if you miss a payment, you will not get a ding on your credit report. And now they just changed it, so you will if you don't pay. So they literally just went back on everything that they said.
See, at least that's old school politics though. It's like say one thing and just do another. Like
Yeah.
that's as old as fucking time.
So then my buddy Merritt, so this is like an article within a tweet within an Instagram post for 3 levels of inception. But my buddy Merritt, who posted it on Instagram, put on, "Remember when Joe Biden ran on student loan forgiveness?" Because I do. And then in the bottom, he did the alternating, like lowercase, capital, lowercase of vote blue no matter who.
Well, so here we are again, right? Oh, student loans. Someone from the government said they'll forgive them. I don't have to pay these things. No, you do. Always have.
Yeah.
And for the
Yep.
common person, that's the other thing too. It's like if you're just a regular person, I don't know why you would think that you're fucking special.
Yeah.
Because you're not. I'm not. I'm just a
Yeah.
common retard. Like, you're not special, so you're not going to be subject to forgiveness. If you worked for the government for 10 consecutive years, then you get your shit forgiven anyway.
Right.
So it's like they'll look out for those people. And aren't they trying to do that? They're trying to file the paperwork for those people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I sent that in our Twitter group the other day. And I had this conversation with someone at my old job before I left because he's not quite a bleeding heart liberal. He's originally from Kansas, right? I think I've talked about him in the past. He was someone that was on my team at my last job.
It
Um,
wasn't Clem, was it?
no.
Oh, okay.
But he was a nice guy, right? But we would talk and it was pretty obvious he was very liberal, right? And we were just talking one day about the student loan thing or whatever, and everyone was like, "Oh, I still have loans. I have this, I have that." And then, someone was like, "Oh, yeah, too bad they don't fucking forgive them." And they're like, "Well, they're forgiving them for some people." And I go, "All right, let me set the record straight here. He's not actually, by he, I'm talking about Biden. I go, Biden's not actually forgiving student loans for anybody that doesn't already qualify. He's not coming to me and going, "Oh, Jared, you're a good guy.
You're a good
You,
guy. I'm a good guy, right?
yeah, you're a good guy. I'm a good guy. You know what? I,
Let's be good
I'm,
guys.
I'm gonna forgive all of your student loan debt." No, that's not how this works. What they've done is they've run whatever algorithm that they've run in their program, and they've determined that there is X number of people that would qualify for student loan forgiveness under current parameters that have not filed for their actual forgiveness for whatever reason. Maybe they just don't want to. Maybe they're super fucking conservative and they're like, no, I took out these loans and I'm going to pay off every last penny of them. Whatever. Maybe they love the government, right? Maybe they want to give them money back to the government. Who the fuck knows? Maybe they just don't know, right? Maybe they're just so fucking busy with their day-to-day lives. They have no idea that they qualify for student loans because they've been auto
Mhm.
paying their
Don't let the
student
retards
loans.
off either.
Yeah, because
Do
they've been
not let them
auto
off the
paying their
hook.
student loans for 20 years, right? And you've got to figure if you had student loans for 20 years, your payment is probably like 75 bucks a month, right? 150 bucks a month at this point. So it's like, whatever. You're in your 50s and you're still paying off your student loans, whatever. It's 100 bucks a month or whatever it is, right? It's people probably don't even give a shit. So what the government has done is they've determined that, there's this group of people that have been paying off, that have been making consecutive payments for 20 years, and they have not applied for forgiveness, right? Because, maybe 20 years ago, the income-based repayment system wasn't the same, right? Because the way the income-based repayment system works now is for undergraduate loans, 20 years of consecutive loan payments, whatever is left is quote unquote forgiven. We've talked about this before in previous episodes. It's forgiven, but then you have to pay taxes on it. So it counts as income. Spoiler alert. So it's like, oh yeah, the government just forgave the last 30 grand on my loans. Well, yeah, well, have fun paying taxes on that 30 grand. Oh, what do you mean?
It's better than paying 30 grand, to
That's
be
true.
fair, but
Yeah, that is fair. That is a great point. Yeah, 30 grand with interest, right?
yeah.
So yeah, you can tax whatever you want. I'll pay the 22% tax on it. Um, so I lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh, so the current income-based repayment system, right? If you make 20 years of consecutive loan payments, after that, whatever is left is forgiven, right? So 20, 25, 30 years ago, that style of income-based repayment system, I don't think existed. Right. So what they're going to do is they're going to retroactively forgive, not retroactively forgive, but they're going to involuntarily push these people into forgiveness because had the current day programs been available 25 plus years ago, they would have had their loans forgiven already. Right. So now the federal government is just going to forgive those loans. But now everyone's coming out like, oh, look, Biden's forgiven more loans. Oh, awesome. And I haven't had this conversation, but I would if someone brought it up. Be like, oh yeah, do you know anyone that had their loans forgiven? Oh no, no, no. But isn't it great that he's doing all this? Hey, it's odd, right? Because like, I don't know. He said there's like, 30 million people just had their loans forgiven. You don't know a single one? I don't know either. That's 10% of the country's population. And but it's probably a higher percent if you count the adult population, right? If you remove anyone under the age of
And college
18.
graduates.
Right, right. So true. So of the adult population from, 25 to 50, right? Or we'll call it 25 to 70, um, that are college graduates, 30 million is a pretty hefty percentage of that, I would imagine. It's more than 10%. I know that. Isn't it odd? You don't know anybody? I don't know anybody. Steve, do you know anybody? No. Hey, Jeff, you know anybody? No. That's odd. Why do you think that is? Because the people that are getting their loans forgiven are in their like 50s and 60s. Like I said, they've been paying their loans for 25 plus years, and now they've just been retroactively applied this forgiveness, right? So all of this, like, oh yeah, Biden's such a great guy. Look at all the loans he's forgiven. No, you're not actually reading what's happening.
Are you suggesting that people should read?
How dare I?
Yeah, asshole.
Yeah. But now it doesn't even matter because all of the extra stuff that he was putting in, he just got rid of, like the negative credit reporting and all that stuff and defaulting. Like they're like, oh, you won't default on your loans if you don't pay. Well, not anymore. Now
Well,
you will.
I mean, it's like one of those things like if anyone gives you money, there's rules here.
Correct.
Always rules. So before you take money from someone, know the rules or don't take it. Very simple.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I knew the rules better when I was 22.
Well, here we are. Keep paying,
Yeah,
kid.
I know. That's all I can do. So they're not going to get forgiven anytime soon. When did I start repaying? 2016.
Ooh.
I've I've got I'm almost 10 years in. I've got what, 12 more years before they disappear. At the rate, honestly, at the rate that I've been able to put towards them, they should be paid off before 12 years.
Well, that's another thing too of that. So that 30 million number is fake, but like let's just pretend that it was 30 million. How many of those people already expired or like already paid off?
Right.
Because I bet you it's like, oh wow, we found 30 million people that, never applied. And I'm like, yeah, well, how many of those loans are still active?
Yeah, they forgave like 3 grand.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
like someone had 3 grand
618
left.
bucks. Like,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
I've paid every day for 25 years and I only have 2 more months left. Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Hey,
you
don't
show up?
yeah, hey, don't worry about those last 2 months.
Now?
Yeah. Yeah. But now you have to pay taxes on that extra 750 bucks.
Just fucking keep it.
I'd be like, you know what? Let me just pay it off.
I'll
You know
just
what?
pay it.
Yeah.
I'll just pay it.
I'll just make one final payment of 750 bucks, whatever.
Yeah, save me the trouble.
So that's fun. Um, one more thing, I think, before we go to wrap things up here is I think it's interesting that ESG is dying. So
Is that a person, a company? What the fuck is that?
ESG is environmental, social, and governance. Um, it's DEI on steroids. It's DEI at the corporate level, right? So diversity, equity, inclusion, environmental, social, governance. What happened was, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago at this point, um, companies like these massive investment firms like BlackRock, Vanguard, um, all those like money management corporations, they all decided to give companies an ESG score, right? So environmental, social, governance score. And they determined that's how they were going to allocate their investment portfolio. So if a company had a high ESG score, meaning you know, they had gender neutral bathrooms and they had a day of trans visibility and they, had electric vehicle chargers in their parking lot and they incentivized people to not commute in or they wanted people to carpool. You know what I mean? Like whatever ESG bullshit, environmental, social stuff. Um, every company would get a score, right? And that's how they would determine where the money would go. So companies with a high ESG score would get more investment money. Their stock price would go up, right? Therefore, the company is increased in value. Companies with a low ESG score wouldn't get as much money. So the well kind of dries up. Companies like, oh shit, we're short on cash. Our stock price goes down a little bit. And maybe we're not doing so good. So over the last year or so, um, that's kind of been turning around. So we started to see it a little bit with Target, right? And last year. So I think the most public versions of this were Target and Bud Light. They were not necessarily specifically involved with an ESG score, but their actions that they were doing were to improve their ESG score, right? Target wanted to put those trans fucking bathing suits in the front of the store to show that they love trans people. That's a good thing. Their ESG score goes up, right? Um, Bud Light wants to change their marketing platform to market towards minorities and gay people and trans people, right? Oh, that's good. You're including all you're very inclusive, right? So your ESG score is going to go up. You're going to get more money. That's effectively what's been driving the market over the last 4 to 5 years. And now that's changing because consumers have made the decision they don't fucking like that very much. Again, so the other side of the Target and Bud Light, right? Both of their stock prices just fucking plummeted because consumers were like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to buy your shit anymore. I'm not going to give you my money. So now companies have kind of had to like pivot, right? And then little by little, the larger corporations have been like, maybe we just don't do this anymore. So there was a big thing a couple months ago, it was over the summer. Um, Tractor Supply had come out with a big press release that said they're no longer going to focus on their ESG score. They're like, we don't care what our ESG score is going to be moving forward. We're just going to conduct business like Tractor fucking Supply Company, right? Like they were like, for too long, we've gotten away from our core beliefs and our values, and now we don't care. So, you know, Tractor Supply saw a huge surge right after they put out that press release. So little by little, companies have just kind of been like, you know what? That's just not really for me anymore. Uh, and mostly what's happening now that we're like kind of 5 years into it is companies had set unrealistic expectations on their environmental benchmarks, right? So like some companies in 2019 say were like, oh, by 2030, we're going to reduce our carbon footprint to be net zero, right? And maybe that's I don't know, pick a major company, fucking Burberry, right? I don't know. Uh, and now all of a sudden they're like, well, shit, how do we do this, right? Because you think the company's quote unquote carbon footprint, right? Every time someone in that company takes a flight, that's increasing the carbon footprint, right? Anytime there's business travel, anytime there's people commuting to work, sitting in traffic, driving in cars, that's a piece of a carbon footprint, right? And these companies are like, well, I mean, we can only plant so many trees, right? We can only donate so many different things. And now they're starting to realize, like, oh shit, I don't think we can be carbon neutral by 2030 because 2030 is only 5 years away. I mean, 2024 is effectively over, right? So like, oh shit, we got 5 years. I don't think we're going to make our goals, right? So now they're starting to be like, yeah, we're going to change that. Instead of 2030, it's going to be 2040 now. So like a couple companies are doing that, right? So you have the Tractor Supply approach where they're like, yeah, we don't give a shit about this anymore. We don't care. We're going to stick to our ideals and we're going to go back to the way things used to be. And then you have other companies that are like, we were a little bit too aggressive in what we did. So now we're going to kick the can down the road a little bit. So what that does is that lowers their ESG score, right? Because they got a high environmental score by saying they were going to be carbon neutral by 2030. Now they're like, maybe 2040, right? So that score effectively would go down. But because it's so widespread, it's kind of a house of cards, right? And the house is coming down. So I think finally BlackRock has started to come out and say, I think we're going to focus a little bit less on ESG scores when it comes to our investment portfolio. And all it took was like one little hint of that line. And now the whole fucking house of cards is coming down because people are like, oh, the company that, like the largest investment firm literally in the world, they said that they're going to take less of a look at that now. Wow, well, shit, we don't have to do any of this anymore. So I happened to hear a conversation at my job the other day where someone was talking to the executive vice president of finance, who is like my boss's boss's boss, who reports directly to the CFO of the company. So this guy is two steps below the CEO. Um, and they were talking about how the company that I work at now is basically just going to quit their ESG program. And they were talking about how, like, it's not necessarily a bad thing because like the market should dictate these things and not like some company somewhere that's investing all this money and all these things. And you know but so yeah, that's what started it. Is I overheard that conversation. um so then I started like looking up like ESG and like the history of it over the last couple of years. And that's how I found out about Tractor Supply and all these other places. um so now it's not a thing anymore, or it's about to be very much not a thing.
You the guy that was going through all these corporations who had like DEI programs. I know this is a little unrelated.
Or no, a
It
DEI program counts towards your ESG score.
okay,
If you
good. So
if
he
you
was
have a DEI program, you get points on your ESG
okay,
score,
cool. So
because
he
that's the
outlined
social
an
part of
approach
the environmental social governance.
for how to include white people in your DEI. And he would like give like the step by step. He goes, make sure you use their language and make sure that you use these words and whatever. And it's like, he goes, all you have to do is just figure out which companies have this stuff and how to reach out to them. And it was just like kind of like white people for DEI or I don't know, it was something weird. It was fucking funny though.
Yeah.
It's almost like in Parks and Rec, the male rights group or the men's rights
Oh
group.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, all this is a fucking farce anyway. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I
you're
just
not
think
making any change.
no, you're not. I just think it's a small glimmer of things are potentially starting to swing in the other direction to go back towards regularity, which ultimately they'll swing too
Doesn't
far in
exist.
the other direction, right? So we have to enjoy the time that the pendulum is in the middle, right? Because we just spent however many years with the pendulum way on the left, and now it's starting to swing back to the right, and we're getting close to the middle. And we just have to really enjoy the time it's in the middle, because then there'll be a time where it's way too far to the right, right? And then it needs to swing all the way back the other way, right? So it's just the game that we play. We just need to, you know, be extreme centrists. Was that the name of
Forget.
yeah, didn't Dickey come up with that?
No, he saw it somewhere. It was like the extreme center.
Yeah.
Or like they like yeah, like they radicalized being in the middle or something. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was
Yeah.
from though.
Oh, was that Captain America and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Wasn't that the
No,
group, the extreme middle, extreme center?
no. Because we didn't live with Dickie when that came out.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I forget where he saw that, but yeah, it was like again the extreme center. I don't know, but I would maybe yeah, that's probably the only extremist group I would ever join is the extreme center. No, I still wouldn't because
Yeah.
then I'd have to get involved, and I just don't want to do that like in any way. Like I
Apparently
actually spoke. I
radical centrism is a thing. Maybe that's what he was talking about. The radical
probably
center.
yeah. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. Like
Yeah.
center extremists,
Yeah.
which I don't even know what the fuck platform they go off of, but
I have it right here.
oh
The radical center refers to a belief that genuine solutions require realism and pragmatism, not idealism and emotion. Hey, I mean,
Insofar, I agree.
so yeah, I'm in. I'm sure they do something fucking stupid though.
Of course they do. They have to.
Yeah, but yeah, ESG is basically dead.
We hardly knew ye.
Yeah. See ya. Uh, well, that being said, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah. So I'm going to present to you a thought that I came up with while in Rome. And Michaela seemed to be
When in Rome.
very enthusiastic about it, but not with the same enthusiasm that I had. And I noticed that when we went to the Vatican, that I certainly got a lot of Augusta National vibes, which led me to formulate the hypothesis that the Vatican is the Augusta National of the Catholic Church. And I'm saying it like that intentionally because it's not the other way around. Augusta National is not the Vatican of golf courses.
Right.
The Vatican is the Augusta National of the Roman Catholic Church. And that's what that's a very specific way that I want that to go. Um so now my first point with that is to be fair, Augusta National is much more exclusive than the Vatican.
That's true.
So
Anybody can
like
just walk in there.
anyone can go
Not
to the
not
Vatican.
anybody can just walk into
Not
Augusta.
everyone can just go to Augusta National.
That's
And
true.
then like not even visit. So it's like that's the thing is like we ain't getting into the fucking to meet the Pope unless you were married in the last 6 months or some shit. Like you're not getting in there. Fine. But you're not even visiting Augusta National unless you hit the
Right.
lottery.
Right.
So any idiot with like fucking $40 can go to the Vatican. It might be less than that. It might be like fucking 25 euro or some shit. So anyone can go in. So I think Augusta National is more exclusive. Um, so when you go into the Vatican Museum and they've got um like all of the old ancient Roman stuff, all the ancient Greek stuff, like the most famous fucking statues. So like you're looking at this and like they just get whatever they want. Now this is going back in the day and like
Right.
the more modern stuff is a little different. Like the Thinker is in the Vatican Museum and
Is that the guy
Van
with
Gogh's.
sitting with the
Yep.
his yeah.
And Van Gogh's Pieta is a painting that's in there, and it's fucking weird as shit. And I think that stuff got donated. So they somehow convinced them, like, oh well, we don't need to pay you for this. Like, you really want it to be in our museum, like, millions of
Yeah, you
people will
should
see it,
just give it to
whatever. Yeah,
me.
you should just give it to us. And then someone did. Like, whoever the fuck had it before just gave it to them. But it just goes to show you, like with same with Augusta National, like money's no object. They have unlimited resources, and that's like what the Pope kind of used to like operate um their thing on. Like the we will get whatever we want and however we want. And like
Right. Right.
they would go to Michelangelo and be like, "Oh, should I buy this?" And he goes, "I can't even believe you're considering not like you're buying this." Um, also, everything is exactly the way that they want it to be. Like every detail, every whatever. So when we went to the Vatican, they are preparing for the Jubilee for next year. So like some scaffolding was up, not much. I think it was over Augustus's face or whatever. But like there's this bathtub. I think it's like Nero's bathtub or some shit. And it's made out of this like Egyptian red marble that's like it couldn't be any more one of a kind. Like I'm 90% sure that like this red
Yeah.
marble like almost like cannot or won't be replicated like ever again. And he's got this fucking giant bat. No, it's not even a bathtub. It's a pool. Like it's like a swimming pool, but it's like looks like a bathtub. It looks like a giant bird bath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and they're cleaning it So there's like six people on their hands and knees sitting down. They've each got paintbrushes and shop vacs, just like and dusting and vacuuming. And that's how they're cleaning this fucking thing.
Jesus.
Like crazy that they can even like get the people to do that. But like, and again, so it's just like everything is exactly how they want, how they dictate. You go here, you go there. This is what you see. This is the order you see. Like, you will play by our rules, and this is what you will do.
Right.
Um, and then probably more relevant to like the past Catholic Church, where like when Augusta National comes out and says something, that's the way that things are gonna go. Like in golf, if the Masters in Augusta National come out and say, yeah, so we're gonna play this new golf ball. Well, now the USGA and the PGA Tour and the PGA of America, everybody's playing this golf ball now because they truly are the ones in charge. They're the ones
Right.
with the power. They're the ones, whatever. Back in the day, like with the Catholic Church, it's like they don't have that kind of power now, but it's almost like, yeah, hey, so this is how things are gonna be. And it's like,
Oh, you want to
well,
get into heaven? Yeah, you have to pay indulgences.
don't bring up Martin. They don't like Martin Luther over there. Did I go into that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Okay, they fucking hate
They
him.
hate the French and Martin Luther.
Oh, they fucking do not like Martin Luther one bit. Probably wasn't wrong either, anyway. But yeah, I mean, like what they say goes. Like that's how it went for so many fucking years. And like even going back to like the heliocentric or Earth-centric universe. And like they had fucking trials over it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so again, probably more relevant to back in the day. And my last kind of point too, that's very Augusta National-esque. So somewhere not accessible to people, there is an archives. So they've got, and it's all paper because it was all fucking handwritten because it's all fucking old as shit.
Right.
So it's
Is it
all the
written
original,
on vellum?
perhaps.
That's
So it's all like
sheepskin?
this place is climate controlled and humidity controlled and all the documents are preserved and what like so that they'll last whatever. And the only people allowed into this place are like legitimate historians. So if you want to get in there, you need to be a historian and you need to prove your credentials and give your background and who you
Imagine
work
that.
for
You
and
go to school for 6 years or more. You go to school for like 10 years to get a PhD in history. That's like, oh, cool. Like, what are you going to do with that? Like, oh, I just really wanted to go to the Vatican.
yeah, I just want to go to the Vatican. I want to go to the archives room.
I wanted to be able to get into the archives.
And yeah, and then it's like if they say yeah, then like you can get in. They let you in. They only let you in for like I want to say it's an like a half hour because the oxygen level in the room is altered so that it
Yeah,
doesn't fuck up the
it's
document. So you can't be in there
inert.
for yeah, it's like you can't be in there for an hour. You'll fucking pass out.
Yeah, they pipe in probably nitrogen.
Yeah, or the oxygen level is just lower. Whatever, or it's both, right? Because if you pump in
Yeah.
more nitrogen, the percentage of oxygen is lower. So whatever
Right.
that is. Um, so I forget which documentary it was. It would actually be cool if I fucking remembered. But some documentary or some movie or someone, film company, media company, they got to one of these people and they go, "We want you to wear a camera and we want you to go in." So this person has been there before. They got granted permission. They put their fucking camera on or whatever. They went in, they got video. It came back to this film or this documentary, whatever it was. It might have been a movie. Maybe no, it wasn't a documentary. Might have been a movie, and it's like the Vatican sees that and they know exactly who it was. Like it's not fucking left up to interpretation here. Like we let like six people in per year and one of you
Right.
took a fucking video. Like, are you
Yeah.
fucking serious? So yeah, that person absolutely banned for life, never getting it again. Not like never gonna happen. Now, I don't know if it's exactly like Augusta National where they just take you into the woods and you just kind of disappear. Like that's where they bring all their problems. I didn't see any trees.
Yeah,
But there's
yeah.
definitely some rooms where like you could just like not exist anymore. So if they wanted to. So I plead my case that the Vatican is the Augusta National of the Catholic Church.
I think that's a pretty strong case that's been made.
Michaela was like dying. I'm like, we're in this restaurant. She's like fucking, she is in like hysterically laughing. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is so funny. I'm right. Like, it
Well, yeah,
is.
I mean, you don't say things unless you're right.
Exactly. I
But
s-
yeah, no, I mean, I
it-
think that's pretty legit. I mean, there's a lot of similarities there.
yeah, I mean, like, again, everything's exactly how they want it. Everything's perfect. Unlimited money. You get whatever you want. Like, if something is somewhere, it's there for a reason. It's not just fucking like everything's methodical. Like
Right.
secret societies of fucking God knows what. Like,
Yeah.
they're the same thing,
Except Augusta's better.
except Augusta's more exclusive,
Yeah,
harder
it's
to get
true.
into,
Yeah,
and you don't have to deal with religion.
true.
Which, if you just go to the museum, you don't have to either. But
Right, right. Well, I like that. That's pretty good. Well, speaking of golf, my final thought is, as I alluded to in the last episode, I got to play the Cape Club in Falmouth on Sunday, and what a course. That is that is really nice. So we played and we had a discounted rate because they had just punched the greens. And we're on the practice green putting, and I'm like, dude, these are really fucking fast. But there's sand everywhere, and we're like, it's still pretty fast. So we get out there, and by like the sixth hole, it had dried out. So you wouldn't even have known. Right. So on the back nine, we talked to what the ranger. He pulled up and he was like, "Hey, how are the greens?" I was like, they're good, they're fast. And he was like, "All right, cool. So no issues, no nothing." Like, no, everything's good. And I go, "When did you guys punch these?" And he goes, I don't know, like Monday or Tuesday. And I was like, "Are you shitting me?" I go,
we didn't
"There's,"
pour them then. They
I go,
just did.
"There." Oh yeah, they probably just, yeah. So I was like, there's no holes, like there's no divots, there's no nothing. Like it's just sand. There's just a bunch of sand on the
Yeah.
green. And I was like, they came back fast. I was like,
Yes,
how the hell?
they probably just needled them and then just like sanded the shit out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like normally, like I've played on punch greens before, obviously. Like
The
you go
plinko
and
board.
it's a plinko board, right? And there's holes, there's literal holes everywhere
You just
still
hit
in
it
the
really
green.
hard at the cup, and if it goes in, it's a bonus. And if it doesn't go in, you just pick up the next one, auto two putt or two putt
Yeah.
max.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but yeah, that was a fantastic course. Have you played there before?
I have never played. I've driven by it because it shares the driveway with Sacanesset, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Driven by it, never played. I don't actually know many people who have. Like
Yeah.
that belt, so that belt from Brookside
Brookside's a great
to
course too. I played that a few times. Got my ass kicked there. Got my ass kicked at
well,
the Cape Club too.
Brookside, you need to have a certain appetite, right? Because the greens are fucking crazy and
It's insane. It's wild.
some of
If
like the
you
holes are a little bit targety, right?
you
A little bit.
literally cannot be above the hole because
It's not even a Donald Ross
I
either.
know
Wow.
the ball will go 12 feet past the hole if you just breathe on it
Um,
at Brookside.
yeah, but that stretch from Brookside, this isn't, I think it's like Brookside to Cape Cod Country Club. I think that's the beginning and end, but I don't know 100%. But that includes Brookside, Pecasset, which is private.
Yeah.
Um, Cape Club of Falmouth, Sackenasset's private. Cape Cod Country Club, which I like. Paul Harney's like a executive. I don't think it's just a par three. I could be wrong. It could be just a par three. Um, and I want to say there's one. Falmouth Country Club is somewhere. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like that stretch is just like pretty fucking good. And it's like I'm never really like in that part of the Cape. Um, but it's not far from my mother's cottage, which I'm also never at either. But
I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. Do you know if the Cave Club is a Donald Ross?
it's very unlikely
Okay.
that it is because it used to be Ballymead.
Okay.
Um, it's very, very unlikely that it is.
Yeah. I can't find anything on who the designer was.
Oh, is it a Fazio?
Oh. Um, so it was, I think it's more of just the nature of where it is. Um, but it does have a lot of elevation change from more, I would say more so from T. There's a lot of elevated T's. Um, Not so much. I mean, there's a couple elevated greens, but it's mostly you're hitting from a high tee box down into the fairway. But it's the first few greens are insanely hard. Like they're all undulating greens. Like there's a three-tiered green at one point. Um, it's a beautiful course. Like there's a couple shots that you just like, I forget, I think it's the 10th tee box. You look up. I took a picture of it because I can text it to you if you want. But it's if on the 10th tee box, if you turn to the right, you can see the ninth fairway coming down and then the 18th fairway coming down, and the two greens are right next to each other with a little like pond separating them.
Sounds good
And
for
it's
you.
just one of those like you look and you're just like, like that's fucking beautiful. Like it's just great views. Um, it's a tough course. It's not necessarily like it's tree lined, but it's not.
Well, there's a difference between tree lined and trees separating holes. It this looks like a trees separate the holes, but
Yeah,
it's not
it,
targety, it's not
it's not. You have some spots to hit it. Um, some of the holes like you have to play the hole, right? Like you have to go with what they give you. Like you can't just hit driver and do what you want here. Like you have to just, because there's a dog leg somewhere or there's a set of like three bunkers on the far side of the fairway. So if you're long and through the fairway, you're in a bunker. Like there's a couple things like that where it's like you have to just kind of go with the course. Like you can't just force your own will on the course. Um, but it's great. I would definitely play there again. It's definitely worth it. Um, but it was funny because at the end, one of the caddies came over and asked, he was like, "Oh, hey, how were the greens today?" We were like, "They were good. Like they got real fast as the day went on." And we were like, "That's kind of wild considering how much sand was on them." And the caddy goes, "Yeah, it was, I'm gonna be honest, like we get a lot of complaints about how fast the greens are here." So he was like, I wasn't sure how it was going to be with the punch greens last week and all that, but he was like, at least they were somewhat bearable. And we were like, yeah, no, they were fine. Like it wasn't like, you know, putting on a basketball court or anything. Um, but they were definitely fast. He was like, all right, cool, good. He was just, everyone was just, it was funny because everyone just so concerned about the greens. Like, oh, hey, how are the greens? What are the greens today? Like, I don't know, dude, they were fine. Right? Like, um, but yeah, it's a nice course when at the end we pulled the carts into the cart return and the caddies walk over and clean your clubs off the back of the bag and we go to take them off and they were like, "Oh no, 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 no." They go, "Leave your bags on the back of the car. We'll just take them up top to the parking lot for you and we'll just leave them at the bag drop. You can pick them up there." We were like, "Okay, sure, yeah." Um, but yeah, I mean, I kind of got my ass kicked. It's also was probably the first time I had played in like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. Because I just haven't been able to play as much as I have, been in the past this year. Um, so obviously not ideal when you're only going to play like once every 3 weeks. There's just kinks here and there. Like I had a tough like two-way miss with the driver, which is kind of shitty. But I mean, I shot a 96, so um, not awful considering a difficult course and not swinging a golf club for like 3 weeks. But yeah, really great spot. Would highly recommend it. I would 1000% play there again. So
There you got it.
the next time you're at your mother's cottage.
Yeah, the next time I'm at my mother's cottage, I'll probably be throwing shit in a fucking wood chipper, staining a fucking deck.
Yeah, I was gonna say staying in the deck
I didn't get to it this year.
next year.
Yeah, it'll have to be next spring, I think.
All right. Well, that's going to do it. So thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy. Leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is sarcasm speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes below. Support sponsors, support us. And until next time, good night, everybody.